So I was doing my reports earlier for work, and I hear this crashing in the kitchen where you are. I hear something not only fall, but something sounded like it hit every possible object on its way down. Like I didn't know if maybe you tried to catch it and it fell again, or if it hit against the cabinets or what. But do me a favor, what exactly happened there?
So I was trying to get something out of the cupboard, and because I was cooking everything and it was all going on at the same time, and I was trying to get a bowl out, and I didn't realise that there was like the sieves inside the bowl, like, you know, because I was just tidying away.
I'm sorry, the what inside there?
The colanders?
Colanders, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's like, we've got like a set of like 3 different sized ones, and these were the 2 smaller ones, and they just both fell, and they both hit every single like shelf and the side and the floor eventually. And I was just like, it was one of those moments where you just stand there and you look in and you're like, right. Slow-mo.
Right. But I got to express, before you say the line, I got to express, like, I wasn't going to say anything. Because obviously it was a mistake and I didn't want to rag you. Though I am prone to picking at you and ragging on you about different things. I didn't want to rag you. I felt like, oh, okay, well, that obviously was a mistake and probably very annoying. And I was going to completely let it slide. But then you beat me to it and had to say something. What was it you said?
I looked at it once it landed on the floor and I said, "Stop it, you've been dramatic."
No. Your exact words was, "Really? Why so dramatic?"
Yeah.
It was so painfully British. And very posh in a kind of way. Like, I expected, like, I don't know, like, just...
Like, oh, bloody hell.
Right,
yeah. No, I think, like, it's just after today and stuff like that. It was, like, Star Wars and things, so we saw that last night. And I just looked at it and I was just like, really? What? There's no need to be so dramatic. Stop.
Right. And I realized this is a perfect example of our relationship right here, because yes. I thought I was doing very well not to pick on you, and then you actually one-upped me, and I realized, I'm like, that's why I married this woman. Not just because she's entertaining, but because she says really, really amusing things that make for great stories.
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm sorry. That's all I have to say to you. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's the only reason.
That's fine. For those of us that those listening that haven't met us, you know, who are you exactly?
Well, on the YouTubes, I am Geeketiquette, and I mostly just do gaming videos, retro gaming videos, and stuff like that that everybody does. Sure,
and I am probably, all my stuff is found under Stephen Wilds, but for this I think I'll just stick with my usual online persona, and I'll stick with Bane.
Yeah.
So we can do that. But for anyone who doesn't know us, I'm going to ask you, because I want to hear from your perspective. How did we meet?
We met through gaming. Sharkara. No, we met online playing Rocket League together with some friends. So every other Saturday or every Saturday, I started networking with a few other YouTubers, and not like massive ones or anything, just, you know, a small group and small
What
channels.
You're trying to avoid saying is that this is all Kovic's fault. The last almost 2 years have all been Kovic's fault.
Yeah, exactly. Our friend Kovic, he got into Rocket League, and then I got into Rocket League, and you knew him, and then we would just get together every Saturday, and then you started joining in.
Now, the funny part about that, I only did that. I happened to have the game because I had to review it for a website. Yeah,
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, I reviewed it for a website I was writing for, and I actually didn't like the game that much. Like, I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was a sports game. I wouldn't have normally stuck with it.
Right.
Except then, you know, Kovic tells me, hey, I have these friends that all get together every Saturday night and we hang out. And I had hung out with a few of these people. I'm like, oh, these are really nice people. And then he may have said something about, like, that he also had girls that played too. And I think I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm there with my chicken wings and...
half drunk self.
Yeah, because the only, like, the first time I met you, because we were all in Skype call, because Discord wasn't really a thing at that point. So it was all, when people still use Skype. And you would join the call, and you were kind of, I don't think you were proper drunk. Like, I don't think you were like white girl wasted, but you were merry.
Maybe once.
I think, yeah.
Maybe once. Most of the time, though, I was good and tipsy. I like to say it's good tipsy.
Good tipsy.
And for anyone who knows me, like, I don't even have to really be drinking to get in that kind of mindset and mood where I'm a little more verbose and, I guess, playful with my words, but it helps. The alcohol definitely helps.
Yeah, I think that goes for a lot of people, though. But yeah, you started joining in, and I honestly didn't know how to take you, no pun intended. And I was sort of like, who's this, like, really crass dude that just randomly joins? And then you started playing, and, I was like, all right, it's not too bad.
Are you trying to tell me that my crassness did not immediately come off as attractive to you?
Well, here's the thing, because it was through that we started really flirting.
Well, we started blowing each other up.
Right, exactly.
From behind.
From behind, blowing each other up. Because that was the thing. It was me and Triggs were like having a back and forth about blowing each other up. And
you both had the splooge, I believe.
And we both had the white goop that was coming out of the exhaust.
It looked like splooge.
It did. It looked like splooge. And so that was kind of like the running gag. And then me and you would have this kind of like, not vendetta, but it changed from me and Triggs to Triggs versus everyone trying to blow everyone up. Yes. And then me and you were just like back and forth.
And I do remember there were a couple nights we were actually like keeping score.
Yes. Yeah. And seeing how much we could blow each other up.
Blow each other up, yes. So for anyone who hasn't played Rocket League, it is a soccer style game, but where you use the car to knock a very large ball or puck or something into a net. And you can customize this car by having...
Who's a net? Sorry. That was terrible.
Hey, remember earlier when I said I remember the reason?
Marion.
Yeah. No, but so you can customize your car not only to be different colors and to look different models and stuff, but you have toppers, which are these odd things that go on top of your car and make you stand out more, and you have trails. And so, these trails, like we're talking about, that she had this white goo that was kind of a trail. Like, I believe for the longest time, mine just shot out $signs out of the back.
Yeah.
So, Rocket League, obviously, decent game, but for us, no matter... Even though, like, I really don't enjoy playing as much anymore, I'm always going to have to pay it some respects because that's how we met.
Yeah. I don't think I've actually played it since we stopped playing altogether, because after a little while, we just kind of stopped doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Now, I know it came out on the Switch recently.
Yeah.
And a lot of people apparently have kind of picked it back up because you can play it on the go, and, it seems like a good console for Rocket League.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, definitely. I like it. So it's a good co-op game as well.
And that's kind of why we're here today. Like, we're talking about this is because we want to talk about some games that are, of course, good for couples to play. Not just in this kind of case, like through meeting people, but obviously that's something you can do. I've had several friends that have met others that they've become interested in online games like Halo, World of Warcraft. Numerous stories about people meeting the girl or guy over the internet and kind of falling for them because you're spending all this time with them, especially in something like World of Warcraft. You're going and doing quests and dungeons, raids, and you're grinding with them. No pun intended.
Right.
But that's the way it happens. So I kind of want to talk to you a little bit today. And I know we've talked about this.
Right.
So we know a couple of things we're going to say. But what are, like, some games that you think and I think are really good for people who are in a new relationship, and especially what we had to go through, where it was a long distance relationship. So what are some good games for couples to not only play together, but kind of spend some time with it together?
Yeah, I mean, well, again, like, Rocket League was a lot of fun, and so that will always hold a place, and I think even if you don't like sports games, because I'm not a fan either,
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you can have a lot of fun with that, and there's that kind of competitiveness about it as well. But you mentioned a few already, like WoW, for example, World of Warcraft.
Sure. But not everybody's going to be into that, and that might not
No.
be as accessible for a couple in the sense that if you were dating someone who had never played World of Warcraft before,
Right,
it might be hard to get them into that, and especially at lower levels and stuff. So I don't think that's the best example, but it is a good one if you can both get into it.
Yeah. Then I guess it also depends on the people in the relationship, because as you say, you can think of a few examples like Friday the 13th or Minecraft or MMORPGs that we mentioned already. It depends on the other person.
Now you brought up Friday the 13th, and
Yes.
you and I both play a good bit of Friday the 13th together. When I can convince you to play it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You say you and I, but I am not as big of a fan.
Yeah,
And,
I'm a much bigger fan of the
Right.
game than you are, sure.
Yeah, you've put goodness knows how many hours into it.
Over 260.
So sad.
Hey,
Why am I
sad.
married to you again?
I am sure we could find a game you've put many hours into that you shouldn't have.
Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
I think that's my top game on.
Yeah. Did you
Steam.
put more than 260 hours into Black Ops 2?
Round about the same.
Oh, okay.
240, maybe 240,
All right.
260, something like that.
I understand, Judgy. So, but we actually started playing Dead by Daylight together. But before Friday the 13th, you and I played Dead by Daylight
before
together.
Friday.
And this is when you were still living overseas.
Yeah.
I believe you had just moved in at your dad's.
Yeah.
And we tried to play Dead by Daylight, but one thing that was really weird was I couldn't get into playing it without you being on. And you can't level in Dead by Daylight playing in groups.
Right, yeah. I don't know if they've changed how it works since then, but at the time, it was kind of like you play with people you know or you don't, really.
And to me, that turned me off in playing that one as a couple, because we weren't actually leveling, and to get some of the perks and stuff like that, we couldn't play in a group together.
Right, yeah.
And I have my own gripes with Dead by Daylight. I think it's a good game, and I think there's a lot of good points to it, but I do like Friday the 13th overall better, and I think they might have learned from that that took away from the game a little bit, I think.
Quite possibly. It's funny though, because I feel the opposite way. Whereas, like, I get more enjoyment and there's more atmosphere, and I feel more tense with Dead by Daylight versus Friday the 13th. And I wish I knew why.
I can tell you why. Because in Dead by Daylight, players cannot talk to each other, and the killer cannot talk to you.
Yes.
And in Friday the 13th, as soon as the killer opens his mouth and says something racist, something dumb, something doing a Hank Hill impersonation or whatever, I'm no longer terrified. There are moments that are incredibly terrifying in Friday the 13th, and there are some great tense reactions. Watching a Rewind Mike play Friday the 13th, if you ever want to see some good reactions to tense moments, his screams hit pitches that I've never... One thing I thought was really interesting that happened with us, and it's only happened a couple times, but there have been times where I, in Friday the 13th, would play the killer.
Right.
And you would play one of the counselors.
Yeah.
And now this did happen in Dead by Daylight, but I think it happened even less than that. And, we just didn't continue playing Dead by Daylight as much.
We just stopped.
For whatever reason. But I want to bring up, that particular situation in Friday the 13th, because we had a great moment where I believe you were the last counselor left, and I was playing Jason.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah.
And I believe the exact moment was me saying, all right, how do you want to do this? And I think your response was something like the hard way or something like that. And so I basically said, I love you, honey, and then attacked you.
Yeah. But the thing is that we've had occasions like that where because you like playing Jason and I don't.
And I know a lot of people don't, yeah.
Right. And there's been a few of those times recently where we've been either you found me and you've just not bothered with anyone else, or everybody else has escaped or been murdered or whatever.
Well, there was one time recently where unfortunately just you had been trying to work to escape, and even though I wanted to, I usually try to save my friends for last, not just you, but anyone I know, I'll try to kill them last. But you guys were getting a lot of stuff accomplished, and I couldn't let you go for that. So. Yeah. But
yeah, and so there's been a couple of times where it's just been us two, and you're like, come here, sorry, I've got to kill you, the only person left, and I'm like, nope. And we've got to where the timer, I think the last time it was either 30 seconds I had left, or it was 40. 10.
It was like 45, wasn't it?
I think
it was close.
I think it's happened a few times.
Yeah, it was close.
The first time was like 45, 30 seconds, and then the second time was something ridiculous, like 6 seconds left.
Well, because you got really good at avoiding me once you knew that you were the last person. You got pretty good at actually using the cabins to your advantage. That's general tips for that game. You've been getting better. And it's funny, and I mean this in the most polite way possible, but it's funny to me that you have gotten so good at that, because, like I said, for a long time there, I was having to, really try to get you to play that game.
Yeah, and there are times where, I do enjoy it, and I know that, you play it a lot more regularly, so...
I wonder if this is really a good game for couples, because, of course, we handle that pretty well. Do you think there are couples that might not do so well if one is the killer and the other one is a counselor?
Again, I do think... I mean, obviously, this does depend on the person, but, for example, if I was one of those people that's like, oh, no, you can't touch me because I'm your wife, or I'm your girlfriend, or significant other, it's like, you've got to avoid me kind of thing. You've got to let me live. And either you don't, and then I get really pissed at you, or, it's one of those like, oh, God, not these two. It's like, oh,
it's always got to be like that.
Right, yeah, to a degree. But, at least I think we have fun with it. It's like, all right, I'm going to kill you now. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm going to try and avoid you.
And to your credit, you have never begged me not to kill you. You've said some stuff like jokingly.
Yeah.
But you've never like I've heard other friends in that game actually get caught and beg, or just complain or whatever. You've never done that.
No, that's a good point actually. I never even realized.
And we play with a really good group of people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that even says more for how you fit really well into that group, and there's no. I treat you like the other people in the group.
Yeah, so. No, I personally wouldn't want to be treated any other way. I don't want special treatment just because, I'm your significant other, and that's how I've always been. It's how we've always been, even with Rocket League as well and stuff like that.
Sticking on the point of horror games, the only game I remember that went pretty poorly for us, trying to do, was Left 4 Dead 2. That didn't really work as well, because we played it with us, and again, I think Rewind Mike, and then we tried it, remember that one time where it was just the two of us, and I didn't think that was a good couples game.
No, I didn't even, good call on that, because I didn't even remember we tried it. The other problem that we had, online relationship-wise, before I moved back in with my dad, I had really bad internet. And so it was a bit of a struggle sometimes to not only play online together, but also, just Skype calls and video calls and stuff like that. It was a lot harder initially anyway.
I remember that one day where you lost your internet for...
oh, God.
Gosh, I guess it was about 3 days, right?
Yeah, it was... It might have been longer than that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
2 weeks or something.
I didn't think it was quite that long, but it was multiple days. It always feels like. But it was multiple days, and we were talking over text, but that was getting expensive.
Right, yeah.
And you had to worry about your data, and you had to worry about a lot of other stuff like that. But the internet's a problem. There are some games we did try to play Mortal Kombat X online. And as much as I love Mortal Kombat, when you have a bad internet connection between one of the two people, there are certain games that make it not as much fun to play.
Right, yeah.
And you were a total sport, and you tried to stick it out, and you were practicing and all, and I really, you don't understand, I really appreciate that, because that's a game that I really enjoyed, and it was cool that you were willing to put the time in to try to show, like, hey, I'm willing to learn games for you and all that.
Yeah.
I think the one that worked kind of well for us, but the lag did become a little bit of an issue too, just staying connected, was Borderlands 2.
Yeah, 2 and pre-sequel.
Yeah, we played both of those, and we need to actually finish the pre-sequel
we
one
really
day.
do.
Because Borderlands 2 is amazing, and I know pre-sequel's not quite as amazing from what everybody says, but I enjoyed the first part of it, and Borderlands pre-sequel kind of sticks out to me because that's one of the last games we played before you came over here for that first 3 months.
It was, yeah. I think FPS-wise, because Borderlands is a slight exception to, say, Left 4 Dead, for example, because Left 4 Dead, you just kind of, like, go in and you do it, right? Like, there's no direct different objectives or side quests or extra weapons that you can collect or anything like that. There's no, like, level building or collectibles and stuff like that. Whereas, like, Borderlands is a little bit more expansive, even though it is, predominantly an FPS, but it has a lot more to it, I guess. And if like one of the two of the couples is into RPGs and MMORPGs, it has that kind of element. Which could appeal to them as well, so that might make it a bit easier.
This is a really good relationship game too, because if you are playing 2-player, it's a lot of situations where you can do stuff on your own, but things are much easier when you work together.
Right. Yeah.
And especially you learn how to start complimenting each other. If I'm playing, I can't remember his name, Axe something, the guy with the turret.
Yeah.
Axton.
Yeah.
If I'm playing Axton and she's playing the Gunzerker, Salvatore. Like, I know when she starts to go in, I know that means I need to drop my turret.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't feel like we got into pre-sequel enough that we found that kind of groove where we started gelling really well, but we were pretty good about communication. Keeping each other up to date on kind of like where we were in the quest, what we needed, stuff like that. And I think that's a really good exercise for a couple.
Yeah, I think there are some games that, Friday is a great example again, where communication is key.
As long as one person in your group isn't Jason and you're having to use code words to...
Right, yeah.
I have the go juice.
Yeah, I've got the thing to put in the thing to use the thing. Okay. I get you. Copy that. No, Friday. Okay, Friday may not be the best example, but I do think overall, with a lot of games that aren't, competitive or where we're versus, which we seem to actually play a lot more versus than co-op.
Yeah. We haven't done it as much lately, but we don't play as many fighting games, but we did for a little while. We were playing more.
Bushido.
Yeah, we were playing a lot of Bushido Blade. I have often had to lament the fact that you were better than me at Tekken 2 and 3. I will get Tekken 7 eventually, and I will beat you.
Yeah, you probably will, to be fair.
We played some Street Fighter.
Do you cheat?
No, I do not cheat. I know Street Fighter. That is not cheating.
No, I'm teasing. He's just very good at Street Fighter, and I'm not, because I didn't really grow up with it.
But no, there are a couple of the other games that we have played that do have competitive nature, but I actually think the ones where you're forced to work together are kind of better character building and also create some funnier moments. Like recently, we got Mario Odyssey.
Oh, yeah.
And cool. For those who may not know, and a lot of people apparently didn't, Mario Odyssey is a single-player game, but there is a 2-player mode where the second player can hold the other Joy-Con and take control of the hat. And Cappy, right. And in this particular couple of days that we did this, Geek took control of Cappy, and I was playing Mario. And we figured out pretty quickly that if we worked together and actually told each other our intentions and stuff like that, there were some really cool moves and jumps and stuff. It, in my opinion, it actually makes the game a little bit harder in 80% of the game. But when you want to do certain high jumps or when you want to do certain precision things, if you can work well with your partner, it does help.
Yeah.
You were really good at dispatching the groups of enemies when I would come into like a group of enemies that you need to do the circular attack.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That made it a lot easier. But doing some very small, very mundane stuff in that game would actually it'd make it a little bit more difficult because you would go off to do something and I would be like, I need my hat right now so I can throw it.
Right, yeah. And the other issue as well, on the flip side, being Cappy, if you went off to do something and I was, lagging behind for some reason or, looking at something else, and then you would walk off, the camera would follow you, obviously, because you being Mario, right? So then I'll be like, hang on, I'm over here, I can't get back to you, I don't know where I am, like I'm lost kind of thing almost, because I'm off camera, so I have no clue if I'm heading towards you or not. I've just got to kind of guess and you come towards me, and then that way, I can meet back up with you and say, hey, I can help you out again.
Now, even in the short time we did this, though, I do think we started to get more in tune. We got a little more in sync with each other, especially when we were getting off of the actual first world. Once we started kind of really getting into the next area, which is the Sand Kingdom.
Yeah.
I think we were getting a lot more in tune with what we were doing, and now we didn't really play too much more of the game like this, but I think if we went back and tried, we would not only be able to do it pretty well, but eventually we'd probably be doing it just as well as we would if we were doing it by ourselves.
Yeah, I think so. And you saying about being in tune, like when there was a point in the Sand Kingdom where you were jumping, but you had missed the jump, and you wouldn't have fallen to your death straight away. I don't think. I can't remember if it was the purple water or not. But me as Cappy, I went underneath you and saw that you were going to fall because you can jump. Remember, like Mario can jump on top of Cappy and it's
get
like
a bounce off.
Right, exactly. And so like I was just like, whoa, hang on,
No, I remember that now. Yeah, you did a pretty nice saving throw. No pun intended there. Yeah. No, it was good.
Yeah.
So we've played a lot of games together, and we've been working on stuff. And what I also love is, as a couple, there are some single player games that make good couples games because even though you're not playing them at the same time, you can kind of pass them back and forth. You weren't as experienced with some Nintendo products, so I know I made you play a couple of the other Mario games, and we were playing it back and forth.
Yeah.
There was also a game recently called Spacebound, which was the space puzzle game that was similar to Super Meat Boy. I did a review on it.
Yeah.
But, we would pass that back and forth and keep both getting frustrated and trying it. And I think it was a good moment, though, for us because we were both in the frustration. And when one of us actually did figure something out new or get past a level, it was like a high five moment.
Yeah.
It really felt like we were working together and putting our brains together to figure this game out.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, even, I think for me, it brought me back to, when I used to play games with friends and we would, pass the controller if we got, stuck on something, or if we were playing, like, an RPG and we were, like, level grinding, we'd pass it on because one would get bored and it'd be like, all right, I'll take over and help you out on your save file, that kind of thing. It's also a little bit competitive for me as well.
Can be, sure, yeah.
Because, like, I'm like, right, he can't do it. I'm going to see if I can do it and be better, like, be a better player than he is, kind of thing.
But that's just you always trying to show me up. You do that a lot.
Trying or actually manage to?
That's still out for debate.
I think there will be a few friends that may listen to this and be like, nah, she shows you up.
And most of those people will side with you just because it's you. But they know the truth. So there are games that we haven't played together as a couple, but I've tried to get you to play. And I was going to talk about a couple that I think we would be pretty good at. Overwatch. Is one I'm trying to get you to play a little bit more of.
Yeah, I don't know why, because there's no real reason why I shouldn't like it. Because of the type, I have quite an eclectic taste when it comes to genres and games. And, I've been gaming for a long time, so like I say, there shouldn't be a reason why I wouldn't like it. But I think my biggest issue with that is that the roles that you play are pretty important, and it's a communication thing.
Yeah, sure.
And it's, for me personally, and this is similar with Friday as well, actually, the pressure of having a responsibility of a certain position. It's like, oh, you've got the machete, or you've found the sweater in Friday. And Overwatch's like, oh, you're a healer, so you've got to make sure that you do a good job healing.
Well, but the thing is, as long as you're doing your job wherever you are, really the key becomes being in the right place at the right time and map thing. But if you're talking, like if we're talking over Discord while we're playing it, it makes it way easier.
Sure, definitely.
So I think that would be a good one. There is also Fortnite, which is still in early access, and I keep meaning to download it. I don't know why I haven't yet. I know that the new mode that's free right now is the Battle Royale one, which that could be fun. That's more competitive, something we could play and do together. However, I would love to try the story mode with you, which is where you have to build up a base and defend against the wave of zombies and stuff like that.
Right, the tower defense type thing.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of, of course, Gears of War, because it's made by the same people who Gears of War had their Horde mode, Call of Duty had zombies mode, stuff like that. It's very similar to games like that. And those types of games, if both people in the relationship enjoy that type of game, could be very good for that, because it's working together, it's building. If you're both improving at it, it can be very fun.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think so.
Do you have a couple that you would want us to try together, or that you think would be good for other couples to maybe try? I know at one point you were telling me we watched this video on snipper clippers for the Switch.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's where you're going to move the motion control and the Joy-Con and cut the piece out.
Cut you like basically paper, I think.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And
well, I think you were the scissors and you're cutting the paper and something weird like that.
Yeah,
it's Nintendo, so they were high when they made it. But so we're watching this video because I was just curious what the game was like. And it's a guy and a girl playing it. And, for those of you who don't know her, Geek is very critical sometimes. Especially when it comes to people's performance, when she thinks she could be doing better.
Now you say, oh, no.
Is that not, am I wrong?
No, but it's not the point.
So Geek thought that she could do better than this girl at snipper clippers. And I don't know if I could, I'll be honest, because some of it's a little bit vision-based, but I felt like that might be one for you. That might be one that you would want us to try.
Yeah, I actually did forget about that game, but I don't remember being that critical. I think it was more of frustration, because
I think you called her a cow. I'm almost
really?
positive. I think you called her a cow.
I'm so sorry, person. I can't remember who I was watching. But no, I think it's more of frustration. It's like, it's like when you're watching a game show, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and then you know the answer to the question, and they're like, oh well, I think it's this, and they're going through the process of elimination. Like, no, it's obviously this. Come on, you know this. You got this. You can do it.
To be fair, I don't think you were calling her a cow because of her size. I think you called her a daft cow.
Daft cow, yeah.
And I think that's less of calling someone fat as much as just calling them simple-minded.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, you're being silly, basically. It's like, oh, you daft cow.
Right.
Or if somebody says something, if somebody says something stupid, it's like, oh, don't be a daft cow. Shut up.
So what's another game, though, that you think we'd be good at, or couples in general should try out to see how they do with that game?
What about the new Super Mario Brothers?
Oh, for Wii U?
Yeah.
Or Wii? Yeah. Well, there's new Super Mario Brothers that I believe was for Wii, and then for Wii U they did new Super Mario Brothers Wii U.
Right. Yeah.
Both of those were pretty good, from what I played. And the one that I think you're talking about specifically was the Wii U one, where you could have the person using the pad and actually make blocks under people and add items.
It might have been. Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah, that was a little weird, but that could be a good one. You just made me think of this. Imagine couples making levels for each other in Mario Maker.
Oh, God.
That could get frustrating so quick.
See, now we're going into the territory of how much can I piss the other person off?
Yeah.
And And I think that a lot of co-op games, though, and two-player games, I think there are some that are just not couple-friendly, or just friendly at all. I mean, Mario Kart.
Right. Well, some people do puzzle games and stuff like that. Some couples play chess together. Some couples play Words with Friends together. Can you imagine being in a relationship where you were challenging each other in Tetris? Do you know how competitive that would get?
I can imagine, because I'm pretty good at Tetris, so I'd kick your ass.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes without saying.
But I would imagine that you had one other title that you thought would be a good game for couples to maybe try.
Yeah, actually, going along the Blizzard routes, you mentioned Overwatch, Diablo 3. I really enjoy that because you don't necessarily need to. It's pretty easy to pick up. It's not exactly difficult if you aren't into those kind of like dungeon crawler type games. I guess it's simple to look at. I know that we don't really play it together as much as I would like that because I really enjoy the game. But I know that visually it's difficult for you.
That one's been a hard one for me to play and to deal with the visual aspect of. But I like it. I love the concept. I've beaten Diablo 1. I couldn't beat 2. 2 is where I started having trouble with those games visually. But 3 is good and has good elements. And now that it's been out for a while and they got rid of like the auction house and some other stuff. It seems to people like it more now.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I mean, I think everyone's favorite is Diablo 2, but I don't recall that one being co-op or online. I think one.
Well, there was Battle.net.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't think that was co-op. Like I think that was you could work together, but mostly it was people. Battle.net back then was basically griefing. It was where the first I remember first hearing about like legit griefing with people hacking other characters or trolling other characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, but yeah, I think because that's one thing that us as a couple have to sort of be mindful of is like your vision, for example. When we first met, I had to be mindful of my internet connection and and my computer as well, because that's the other thing, performance issues. So it was kind of difficult to coordinate that and trying to find like a balance that would work for both of us.
That's right, because we did discuss at one point trying to play GTA 5 online.
Right, yeah.
And back when you were overseas, we realized that wasn't going to work. Also, kind of as a last thing, and I just remember this, I remember we've had this conversation before, but to kind of fill the audience in, I'm shocked that we never played Minecraft together. We both like Minecraft. We've both put our own respective like pretty good hours into Minecraft. I mostly did it on the 360, and I know you mostly did it on PC.
PC, yeah.
But I'm kind of shocked that we never tried to find like a Minecraft server and play Minecraft together.
I actually am as well, thinking about it, because I think it's just Minecraft is one of those things that it's there, but you don't, when you're trying to think of different titles, it's like when you're trying to pick out a film to watch, and it's popular and it's there, but you kind of like, you're trying to think too hard. And it's probably staring you right in the face. But I don't think I ever thought to ask you to play Minecraft.
Well, we talked about it a couple times. And I think the idea behind it was building something in Minecraft, like working on a project together. And I've done this with other friends, and it's turned out really well. Actually, one of the reasons why I don't play Minecraft anymore is because we built some amazing stuff back in the day. And the servers go away. If somebody doesn't maintain the server, it goes away, and we lost that creation. And I know you can't keep it forever, but I was just like, I'd worked so hard and long, many hours a night. There were several nights we would stay until 7 a.m. just talking and working on structures. And so, although I wanted to do that with you because I know we could come up with something cool together.
Well, you could. I'm not creative in that sense. But
we could work on it together, and like it would be something we built. And I think as a couple, like that's a good feeling. No matter what you think about it, like you can you're building good memories there. Because you're just talking and getting to know each other and chatting. Especially for like newer couples, it's not competitive game. You can go at your own pace. There's no one rushing you through Minecraft. Especially if you're just in creative mode,
Yeah.
So if you wanted a challenge as a couple, you could put it in survival mode, or you could try to build your, casino or rooftop house or whatever in the Ender or whatever,
Yeah. Actually, that reminds me of Terraria and Starbound.
Yeah, I never played Terraria, but I know it's similar.
It is very similar, and I think that requires a lot more communication, like cooperative wise. It's like, okay, you're going to go and get some materials, like I need this to build this. Can you head in that direction while I go here and pick this up or whatever? So again, like with Minecraft, that's a similar thing. And Minecraft is extremely relaxing, I think.
It can be.
It
can be frustrating, but it can be it actually has more potential to be relaxing than frustrating.
Yeah, even when it gets a little bit stressy with like an Enderman showing up or a creeper or something, even then I think that's a fantastic like go-to.
So, obviously, we've talked about a lot of these games, and we've tried to be a little bit more broad and focus less on games from our situation and more on, like, games couples could play together. But our situation was that we had to, find stuff that we could play together on your lack of internet sometimes, your computer, and my schedule, and, just a lot of different things. Because it's very expensive if you are doing an overseas or even just cross state line relationship. It gets very expensive to go see each other and actually be able to go play games with each other in person.
Right.
And that's kind of why we wanted to talk about this a little bit. But we also want to know, to the people listening to this, like, I know there's games we missed, other really good games. There are a lot of competitive games. Like I know you've probably never played it, but I was thinking of stuff like Windjammers, or even, which is the volleyball game, or, stuff like that like people could really get into. And I'm sure there's a ton that we've missed. So, for anyone listening to this, if you want to leave a couple of suggestions of games that you think might make really good co-op games for couples, or just stuff that, we as a couple should play together and put the same time in. Like, we play a lot of stuff together, but we also play stuff on our own.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like, I'm still trying to get you to play Final Fantasy 15 because I played it on my own, and now I'm like, I kind of wish I hadn't, because that would have been cool to go through with you. And so I'm wanting you to play it so we can talk about it.
Right, and then stuff, we can discuss it and what we like, because we're both Final Fantasy fans as well, so it's something that we could talk about together. But yeah, I would love to know, not just like what you would think it would be a good game to play as a couple, but also any personal experiences or what worked for you if you're in a similar kind of position. I think that would be interesting to find out, how it would differ between me and you and another couple, another online couple kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So for those who are coming and finding us for the first time, want you to know a little bit about us. As Geek mentioned, she does the YouTube stuff.
The YouTubes.
Yeah. You can find her on Twitter, right?
Yeah, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as well.
You can find a lot of my writing collected on my blog, and I do post several different websites. I do mostly the writing game instead of the videos, but I did release a video on Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego recently. Right? And we both stream, but I think you stream a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, I've kind of shifted my focus, but I still try and make short videos as well.
And you also do a lot of stuff for charity.
Yeah, and that's another thing that the past year and a half, I would say, I've gotten more and more involved in. Yeah, that's what I try and do now.
I am also on Twitter. But everything we've just mentioned, links will be in the description down below. And we have had a good time, I think, talking about games and stuff like that. But
yeah, it's been nice reminiscing.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. But until next time.
Thank you for listening.